You can write the best story in the world, immersive, beautiful prose, deep characterization, but if it's missing one central piece, readers will not care. And the goal is always to make readers care. If the reader isn't invested, they'll stop turning pages. And that applies to agents and publishers as well. I recently critiqued the first 10 pages of about 80 manuscripts, and in more than 50 of them, I spotted the same issue. Today, I'm sharing what that issue was and the incredibly simple fix that will help readers become invested in your story. Let's take a deep breath. You've made it to the writing woods. If you're looking for a critique of the first 10 pages of your manuscript, you can check out the link below. I'm only taking a small number, so if it says sold out, you can check back later or subscribe to my email list to be notified when I'm taking more. But before you submit pages for critique, be sure to look for this one issue, because during that massive round of 80 critiques, I kept repeating this one word over and over. Conflict. Now, writers hear this advice constantly, but most don't really know what it means. They think conflict means arguments, villains, explosions, but that's not really what conflict is. Conflict is much simpler and much more important than all that. Let's talk about what conflict actually is. Then we'll talk about why it matters and how you can incorporate it into your opening scene. Conflict does not require action scenes, violence, shouting. It is 3 simple components: goal plus obstacle plus stakes. A character wants something, something is in the way, and there are some kind of consequences if they fail. That's it. We make it really complicated in our head, but that is all I'm looking for: goal, obstacle, stakes. Now, why does this matter? Writers should always be asking themselves one big question, and that's, why is the reader turning pages? Readers are looking for meaning. When they open a new story, they are subconsciously asking, who is this? What do they want? Why does it matter? And why should I, as the reader, care? Events without conflict become events without meaning. Readers may enter a story for an interesting premise, but they stay because they become emotionally invested in the characters and the outcome. Conflict is the simplest way to help a reader become emotionally invested. As a writer, we want to make it easy for the reader to care. There's another way writers try to hook the reader, and that's with curiosity. You give them a mystery, a puzzle with one piece missing. That is a smart move, and it's effective for drawing the reader in. Humans are wired to want to complete that puzzle, but curiosity alone is fragile. If a reader is given curiosity without conflict, then once that missing piece is filled in, they no longer have a reason to care. And if you wait too long without filling in the curiosity gap, they also won't care anymore. So curiosity is effective but fragile. Curiosity plus conflict, now that is powerful. So what's the difference? Let's give an example. Curiosity would be, Denise has been on the run for 2 years. Okay, that's a hook. Why is she on the run? I'm curious about that, and I want to fill in that missing piece. But once that is answered, and it has to be answered fairly soon, that's not enough curiosity to run on for multiple chapters. Then if that's all we have, we don't really care anymore. We got the answer to our question. But if we stack conflict, then we'll be able to engage the reader more. So conflict might be, Denise has been on the run for 2 years, and if she can't clear her name within a week, then she'll never be able to go back home. Now, in addition to the curiosity, we have a goal, clear her name, obstacles, she's on the run, and stakes. If she doesn't succeed, she will never be able to go back home. Curiosity makes readers ask, what's happening? What's going on here? Conflict makes them ask, oh no, will they fail? Will they succeed? And it makes you start to care. Which one of those scenarios makes you care more about Denise? Curiosity grabs attention, but conflict creates attachment. And when an opening feels flat, writers often start looking at the wrong pieces. They may evaluate the actual events of the scene or call it a pacing problem. That's really common. But oftentimes the issue isn't the actual events, but how they're framed. Most authors can recognize exposition dumps, but not the more subtle issue of lacking this clear and specific conflict. They may feel something's missing or feel that the opening scene is just too slow. But the real problem is that nothing is emotionally pressing against the protagonist, and so the reader doesn't have anything to grab onto, to attach to emotionally, even if they are interested intellectually. Without this opening conflict, the scene may feel slow, empty, or aimless. And it can be really frustrating because you're sitting there and you just can't figure out what's going on, especially when betas are telling you things like, I just couldn't get into it. But making sure you have this clear conflict will help. And here's an important thing to remember. Conflict does not need to be big. It can be small. It can be external. It can also be internal. You notice I keep using the word clear, and that is the important part. Clear and concrete. Meaning you should be able to articulate it simply. And even though we love to begin with the primary conflict, sometimes that isn't possible or effective. In that case, beginning with a smaller micro conflict will help engage the reader quickly. And you'll likely find yourself doing this throughout your manuscript as well. In addition to the big overarching conflict, you're going to have smaller scene-level conflicts. Here are a few examples. A hiker sees clouds gathering in the distance. The goal is to reach the next campsite, obstacle is incoming weather, and the stakes are safety or comfort. If they can't reach the campsite before the weather comes in, they'll be sopping wet and potentially hypothermic. Another example, a daughter hides a college rejection letter in a drawer. The goal is to delay telling her family. The obstacle might be a snoopy parent who finds everything. And the stakes might be disappointing her family. One more example of a very small internal conflict. Two friends pretend a conversation isn't awkward after a long time apart. Their goal would be to preserve the friendship. The obstacle is the unresolved tension. And the stakes are losing this relationship. Even quiet literary stories still need conflict. It just might look a little different. A lot of writers will argue that not all stories need conflict, but most of the time they feel that way because they're looking for shootouts and car chases. They're not recognizing the subtle conflict within even quiet stories. That is what takes an opening scene from interesting to engaging. That's what makes us care. We can become invested. And I tell authors that there are exceptions to every rule. I'm sure you will find wonderful pieces that don't include this specific definition of conflict. But number one, they're going to be few and far between. And number two, if you take that route, you're playing on hard mode. Y'all, the editorial advice that I give is designed to help you make it easy on yourself. Play on easy mode, and then you can take risks with other parts of the story. Writing a book is hard enough. We don't need to make it harder. Not when including something like subtle, simple conflict is so easy to do. In how many cases is this going to make the opening scene worse? That is a very small percentage. So just remember that conflict is not necessarily chaos and violence. It's simply friction and a struggle towards something meaningful. Goal, obstacle, stakes. Those three simple things are what give your scenes meaning. Without conflict, scenes may be beautiful or interesting, but they won't cause the reader to lean forward, to lean toward your characters. Conflict is what makes readers hope, worry, wonder, anticipate. It's what makes them care. And once the reader cares, they will keep turning pages.